Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be. Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. It's time for your match reaction as Leeds United have put on a clinic, have put on a demolition job down at Peterborough as we win 3-0. There's been a goal for Patrick Bamford, an assist for Patrick Bamford, 2 goals, in fact, for Ampatwo as well. People will be joining us now. Goats of the YouTube scene. We have more coming as well. Here's another one for you. This is your one-stop shop for all the goats of the YouTube scene. It's great to have them here. Listen, JT, you were here first. I'll come to you. Just a nice professional job. It's nice to see that for a change, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say, 3-0 masterclass destruction, but we did the job. It was Peterborough, a side that on paper, we should be winning convincingly. Yeah. And we did the job. And it was a professional, clean performance. And you know what? How many times have we seen Leeds go into these cup games and not do that? How many times have we bottled them? So as far as I'm concerned, I'm very happy. I'm happy Ampatwo got a couple of goals. I'm happy Bamford's got goals because I think it's just going to breed... It's going to breed confidence going throughout the side, especially with Ampatwo, because for me, I think if I'm going to touch on a problem that I think we have is we don't have enough goals coming from elsewhere on the pitch. Yeah. So I think it's key that, maybe that could give him some confidence going forward. Maybe Kamara looks at that. He's like, I've got to get myself involved. But overall, I'm happy.
Yeah, same. Exactly that. Professional job. Listen, there's over 1,000 people already here. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, comments in, notification bell, all that jazz. Ollie, you were here second, my man. Must be just as chuffed as JT. I was going to say Jesse then. I genuinely was going to say Jesse. What the hell? That's how you do an FA Cup game, by the way, Jesse. Go on, Ollie.
I reiterate the points that JT made. Professional performance. I thought we were dominant for probably 70, 80 minutes. They probably had a 10-minute spell in there. But, fair play to Peterborough. They tried to play football, but Leeds just looked good today. And I was so impressed with Ampatwo even before the 2 goals, and he gets a couple of goals himself. I mean, I'm sure we'll touch on the Patrick Bamford goal, but Christ, that I genuinely haven't celebrated a goal like that in ages.
It was nice.
It was
so nice.
It was crazy. But professional performance, and through to the next round.
Yeah, exactly. Joe, I'll come to you, obviously. It's nice to see Bamford doing what he's supposed to be doing, right? And I don't think he meant the assist for the Ampatwo first goal, by the way. I think it's a poor touch. That's just my opinion. But
it is.
The no thinking of just the second goal where he just chest it in it. That's the Bamford that we've seen against Villa. That's the Bamford we've seen against Leicester when he scored that strike. He does have it in his locker.
It's the Bamford of the first season in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Because it's the Bamford that doesn't have to think about the finish. When he has to think, when he has too much time, when he can see it coming, he gets in his own head and he can fluff things. That's an instinctive finish on his left foot, because let's be honest, he's got one leg that works correctly, and he's had a really, really good swing at it. And he knew what he was doing the second he took that down, versus the first one where you can see the chest down. He goes to step in to have a swing with his right peg and then leaves it, and Ampatwo finishes it off. But that's a world-class goal. That's a world-class strike. I think you'll struggle to see a better goal scored in the FA Cup or in any league this season alone. I think that's an incredible finish. And he had a decent game. He had a fine game. Outside of that, he was okay. I'm not getting carried away with this. I disagree that we were great today. I think we were just about good enough to be a team a division below us. I disagree that we had 80% of the possession, because the stats say differently to that as well. But I disagree because we gave them chances this year, during this game. We gave them opportunities to cross the ball far too often. Had they had better finishers, they would have scored some goals today. They fluffed them. How many times they got near the edge of the box and fell over the ball? It's the same against Birmingham. If we overreact to performances like this, we're in for an awful rude awakening. We play somebody decent who puts those balls in the back of the net. So I would keep this balanced. It's a win against a team of division below us that we should be doing. And as JT said, it is a professional win. Done. That's it. That is it. Yeah, There's nothing else outside of that. It wasn't an incredible performance. There were players in there that had chances to step up today. I don't think that they did. I think some of the subs that came in to start today did nothing to further their opportunities of getting starts.
Who would you say, Joe? Who would you say? Who are you
Anthony
thinking
and
about?
Tonto, I think, had plenty of the ball without doing anything with it. They lost it an awful lot. They kept running into dead ends. They kept running into players with the ball, or it was a turnaround and a pass backwards. So I would look at them. I thought Pira was anonymous for huge portions of the game when he was in acres of space today, and he should have been more impactful. But in saying that, what I will say is I thought the two lads in the middle of the park, Gruev and Archie Gray, were excellent. And the proof of that is all of Peterborough's opportunities, I'm not going to say chances because they weren't necessarily chances, but opportunities to create goals came down both our flanks. I think there was several that went in on Junior Firpo's side that on another day could have been tapped in, only for there was either nobody in the box or they mishit their shot. And the same on Jamie Shackleton's. Shacks has a slightly bigger, slightly more an easier out of jail card, whereas he's first game back after being out for most of this season. But at the same time, it's definitely an area for me I think we need to sort out. But the fact that the two lads in the middle of the park were so good and that all their opportunities came out the outside tells you how good a job they did through the middle of the park. Nothing got through there today.
Yeah, no, I think, I was going to say that as well, mate, because I think one area we did look really shaky was set pieces as well today. We were a bit all over the shop, and I do agree with you that in that if Peterborough were better or if it had fell favourably for them, they score, and then it does set the cat amongst the pigeons. Listen, I'm as guilty as everybody. I'm on social media. It's not real life saying Bamford's back and all this sort of stuff. It is all just a little... No, it is just all just a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but... We're going in the right direction, I think. We're going in the right direction. I just think for me, and Andrea, I'll come to you. I had no confidence going into this. I thought we'd get beat just because it's the FA Cup. And now I'm thinking, do you know what? Like, it was a professional job. We went out there, we put 3 goals past them. We weren't amazing, I agree. But we just did what was required and seen 3 goals going and through to the next round with ease, really, Andrea.
Yeah, first of all, I agree with the professional term that JT used, and second, Jer, spot on everything you said. I agree completely. Absolutely great analysis on that point. It was a professional, like JT said, of course. There's a lot of room for improvement. Didn't like Firpo today, honestly. Showed again that he needs another player to cover for the space he left in behind. And in that regard, he was great sometimes. He was Anthony another time. Showed again today that we will want to see Pirot in the number 10 again. Bamford, not proper number 9, stretches the team, presses, moves, takes the defenders with him, following him in his movement. So that was very good. Gruev, I like more his ball recovery today, honestly, than his playmaking, because I think the deep line in playmaking today, because they didn't have a proper number 9. They had a winger playing like a false 9 today. So Ampatwo had a lot of free space to create and be the playmaker from basically the back line, and I did exactly that with the long balls and the one to Bamford. Really good also to see back-to-back wins, because it beats confidence.
And away from home as well, Andrea.
Away from home. And another thing, it's not easy, apart from the fact that they are a league below, to face a team that is in form and full of confidence with unbeaten in the last 10, And of course, it would have been pumped up, because we know that Darren Ferguson also knows. Also in the past, has got some stick when we visited them from the Leeds fans. I remember that when we played them and Becchio scored that black kit, I remember. But yeah, overall, I think what makes me happy the most is the good and bad signs that this game gave us, because it gave us the good sign about playing Gray in midfield too. He can be as good in midfield as he is in the right back.
He's a right back.
He can be both. He can be both for me. I don't get why there's 2 camps in this, because can we say that Archie Gray is a very good right back and Archie Gray is a very good midfielder? I think that there's also the option in the middle. It's not black and white. It's also gray in the middle. And I'm with gray with the. I didn't mean that. I realized that just now as I was saying it.
That is fantastic.
For your own good, mate.
It didn't meant to be a joke. I realized gray when I was saying this, honestly. So it wasn't meant. But yeah, I think overall, honestly, today he proved that when he played in midfield at the beginning of the season, he used to stay back to cover for the right back going forward. He can go forward. He can carry the ball. He can higher his positioning. So he can play with Ampatwo and be a box-to-box number 8 for me too in certain games. In other games, that's the problem. If we don't have another right back, because I don't see Shackleton honestly starting as our starting right back ahead of Ayling too, because he started today ahead of Ayling. I would like to see another right back coming in if you want him to play in midfield. Honestly, yeah, I didn't mean that. Honestly, that it wasn't meant.
That's what I'm saying. You did. That's how sharp you are, mate. You didn't even mean it. It just slipped out.
Do you know what though? Great again, Andrea. JT, I want to come back to you. Do you worry that Pirro now goes back in the 10 in the league game? Surely not. Like, I don't know why he's. I mean, it looked to me like Bamford and him switched around towards the back end before Bamford came off and then Pavidi came on. But
at that stage, though.
Yeah, he did. I just. Yeah, I was quite annoyed when I seen him in there. I can't lie. And no Creswell as well, and his dad's on social media, so he's gone. No Ayling starting.
I would have started Ayling personally.
After this.
Yeah.
About Creswell, of course, Richard has played for Leeds. He's a dad, and you want your son to play well.
100%.
But
Yeah.
I don't like also going public about those things. Of course, you want your son to play, and he's shown that he can play in the Championship last season at Millwall. He is a good prospect. I said at the start of the season, there were people saying he should start. I said he can be a good understudy, but when a player is out, like today, I would like him to start ahead of Ampatwo, honestly, and Ampatwo in midfield. He's not a already made and finished talent, of course. He still needs to develop. We're not saying he's a proper Premier League star already, because there's people saying he cannot start ahead of Rodon, ahead of Ampatwo. Okay, I agree totally with that. But in these games, you need to play him in this kind of games, because he needs to start and build his experience again in those opportunities, because it's not the league, it's the FA Cup. So to finish this up, I get the parent, but I don't like these things to go public, especially because you've played for Leeds too, So of course he's split hearts in that regard,
100%. And I do.
Is that Cresswell you're talking about?
Yeah. Go on, JT, take it back. Take it back.
I'll take it to Perot or
no, to the lineup. Yeah, just in general. Like,
okay. Well, first of all, if I was going to touch on that, I do think if you have two players, one Archie Gray, one Cresswell, and you have to risk one of them or risk the team to give one of them development, I think for me it's Archie Gray. And I don't know if you can risk both of them in these kind of games personally. But yeah, I know. But because he's talking about giving him development time, I don't know. I think it's a bit too much of a risk with Cresswell personally. As for what you asked me, do I think Perot goes into the 10? I think no chance now. I think for me, listen, it's between Bamford and Perot. We've seen it many times when he's brought Bamford on. He used to originally bring Bamford on for Perot, and then there was a few game stretch where he started bringing Bamford on for Rutter instead. And you saw Bamford and Perot. It just doesn't gel at all. As I said, you've got two forwards, no one to create. Perot can't play in the 10. He doesn't have the movement. He doesn't have the physicality for it. He doesn't have the ability of being back to goal, holding up, turning, spinning. Bamford has all of that. For me, as I said, I know, Joe, especially, and some of you weren't 100% convinced on Bamford as much as I was. But listen, for me, that goal, I think, is absolutely imperative, because a finish of that nature, I mean, the magnitude, this is what I mean by back to goal as well. Chest it beautifully, not even facing the goal, on the spin volley. Okay, yes, as you said, it's instinctive. It's not something yet to think about. And there's been a plethora of great forwards over the years that are like that. Cavani was very much like that. He can still be a confident.
Like that, JT. There's a lot that couldn't do that even if they tried to.
Oh, yeah, exactly. The only thing that was missing from that was Bielsa sprinting on to hug him after. But it was, listen, I think when you score a worldie like that, especially, it does so much for your confidence. And for me, the problem with Bamford, the thing that has been missing out of his game, especially this year, is confidence. Injuries take a huge knock on your confidence. The fact that he missed those big chances, especially against Leicester last year to get us relegated, that's going to take a knock on your confidence. Not only are people blaming you for the side getting relegated, but you're then not able to even play in the Championship because you're injured to try and like regain your faith. So that's got to take a huge knock on him. And I think now you're starting to see people give him a bit of praise, a bit of plaudits. And hopefully for me, that's just, that's really going to boost his confidence going forward, because I think we need him, especially in this stretch. Now, I really want to know what you guys think in terms of, do we still need to sign another striker? But for me, I think that especially the next few games, I wouldn't drop Bamford. As simple as this, Perot has to be dropped. Now, until he can learn to press or play in the Fark system, he's got to go. Rutter's got to play in the 10 and Bamford up front. And I think that's magical for me.
That's the main problem. That's the main problem, absolutely. Because, you have Bamford playing well in the 9 in the last 2 games, so he deserves to start the next one for me. And you have to play Rutter in the 10. But apart from that, Pirlo is playing in the 10 because he doesn't do, like I said at halftime, he doesn't do the things that Farke asks from a number 9. So he's not going to play in the 9. That's the problem. And you need another one playing like with the similar characteristics and skills that Bamford has in terms of helping the team during the build-up and stretching the team and pressing. Pirlo doesn't do that. Or he either learns to do that, or either Farke has to find a different way to get him involved, and or maybe a different position. But the only problem is that he doesn't seem to cut it in this kind of system. Of course, he scores some goals, but he scored those goals in the box like a finisher. He's a finisher. Yeah. He's not a creative, contributing, helping player in the build-up. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I just want to come to you, Ollie. And Joe touched on this point, Ollie, about us getting a little bit too giddy. I've had a few people actually in my mentions on Twitter saying, number 1, Klassen or Meslier now. And Klassen has had a clean sheet in every game he's played, I think. Ollie,
really faced the shot.
I know. Ollie, do you want to see a return straight away? What did you make to Klassen's performance? He's a bit shaky. Don't you keep it for me?
He's had nothing to do. Last 2 games, he hasn't had a lot to do. He's kept 2 clean sheets, but it doesn't really show what he can and can't do. Distribution, he looks okay. I mean, Meslier comes straight back in for me against Cardiff. But just to touch on the whole, Pirot thing quickly, just to go back to that. I feel that, we're arguing where Pirot's best position is. I think he's lucky to get in the side. Really, I think he'd be lucky to get inside against Cardiff because I think he's turned into a bit of a Joffy player. How many times we've gone, he's better position as this, he's better position as that, but he's not showing us he can do anything. Like, yes, he scored goals this season, but I'm getting really frustrated. I've been saying, when he doesn't get involved, it's like we're playing with 10 men sometimes, and I feel like he just is a bit of a player that just gets in the way. And I'm getting a bit frustrated with watching him. Like today, like the smooth, like bit of play. There's even one chance right at the end where he should have just slotted Poveda through, I think it was, and he just holding the ball up. Everything's too slow. I don't know what he brings. I really don't. And I'm not trying to get too carried away with Bamford. Obviously, I'm happy with him. Scoring 2 in his last 2, and it's a very good goal today. And like Jer said, not even many strikers in the world could score a goal like that. But we need to just keep I don't know. Let's not overreact about it.
Yeah, of course.
Keep it real.
But I do think even when Bamford didn't score, he had a hell of a game. Just pressing from the front, he looks more of a problem. The thing is, we criticise him a lot for being offside, but it's because these runs he does. I think he times his runs too well that the players don't even sometimes see it. But
short in this system, he shouldn't be running in behind. He should be coming short to link the players to Solomon, but he doesn't. He keeps running in behind, and that's what gets him caught offside, because the players look to go for the short ball to him, and he's not there, and then they go and flick it over the top, and he's already offside by that stage. He's playing very much like Bielsa wanted him to play, to get in behind. It's very different. If you look at when Rutter plays in there, Rutter never makes that run in behind. It's always short to feet. So
that's fair play.
No, I think that's fair. Andy Toon says, "Hey up, lads," and Joe lad, good professional job. However, I don't want to think now that the 49ers don't need to put their hands in their pockets. Great show, guys. Evie also is too. There's a lot of love for Evie in the comments. She's ill, folks. Otherwise, she would be here. I'm not banning her because she wants to rub it in that Gray played well in midfield and not a fullback. She will have a moment. Don't worry. She will have a moment. Listen, going right back, Joe. Actually, Joe, I'm going to ask you this question because Ollie just mentioned it there. If you compare, say, Randall for Peterborough or Poveda, that's the kind of 10 we need. Not a Pirot type, like a Carvalho, for example. I just don't think we'll get Carvalho because we can't give him the minutes. But that's the kind of nimble, the nimble player you need. Not, he's a bit too cumbersome for me. Is Pirot? It's just not too big.
He's just not. He's just not a number 10. And I said this to the Swansea fan last week. Said, "Oh, he's never been a 10." And my response to him was, "Then what is he? Because you played him as a 9, and if he's not a 9 and he's not a 10, what is he? Because you guys played him up front for 3 years. You know, slightly out wide at certain times, but inside he doesn't have the pace to be a wide of a 3. So that's that out the window straight away. So, and I completely agree with Ollie. Either he plays as your number 9, or he doesn't play. That's it. I think he's your Bamford backup if Bamford's the 9. The concern here would be to that last comment as well is that we've won 2 games against, let's be honest about it, 2 of the worst sides we'd have played this year. If we decide that this is the time to sit on our hands after bringing in a massive recruitment team and then not signing the very obvious gaps that we've got. And today again proved to me that we still need to sign 2 fullbacks that are going to be consistent full-time players there. I hope that Shaq's, I like Shaq's, but I hope that Shaq's coming back isn't what's caused the whole, but we don't need Spence and we can send him back. Jamie will do a job for the rest of the season there. That would concern me as well. I know there's this plan for major reinvestment next year if we get promoted, and maybe there's a possibility of, well, let's just see if we can get up without having to go big. But we've seen Leeds do this before. Adam Forshaw, England, international strikers, blah, blah, blah. Just if I can go back just a bit, Joe, because there's a couple of things I wanted to point out about the team lineup as well and certain players. I agree with most of what the lads have said as well. I think they've been nailing the head with things. There was a picture went around of Pat Bamford the last game against Birmingham. I just loved the picture. And it showed 2 centre-backs with Pat Bamford. Andrea, it was you to put it out.
No, it wasn't me, but I know the picture you're talking about, the one with the circle, Yeah,
he just 2 centre-halves, and they're slap bang in the middle of them, outside the 6-yard area is Pat Bamford between the 2 centre-backs, which is exactly where you want your number 9 to be. How many times this season have we seen balls smashed across the 6-yard area from Dan James with nobody there to tap them in? If Bamford plays the next game and if James starts, I think you'll start seeing Pat Bamford scoring an awful lot more tap-ins from Dan James assists. I also thought it was great. James comes on today, immediately gets an assist. But I thought he was very good. Pirot, I've already covered that. I think Rutter's your number 10 if you're going to play Bamford. And you can't, whatever I've said about Bamford in the past, I'm praise or criticizing based on the performance of the game, not historically, is what I try to do. On the back of the last 2 games, there's still things he has to work on. He still needs to be more active. He still needs to stop throwing his hands up in the air and waving them around because it hasn't gone his way. He still needs to stop giving up when he's lost the ball because he did that a bit today as well. But you excuse all of that as long as he's putting the ball in the back of the net and as long as he's being involved in the game. And as long as he continues to do that, there's no reason why he shouldn't start the game based on where we are right now. I agree on the Paveda thing as well. And I've got something on that as well. On the younger players, and talking about Creswell, I have a frustration with Farke in as far as he's starting to talk out of both sides of his mouth. And I'm starting to get really confused. Do we believe anything that he says? Do we believe some of what he says? Do we ignore all of it? Because he said last week, I like Charlie Creswell. I rate Charlie Creswell. I want Charlie Creswell to stay. A couple of months ago when he was asked about Charlie Creswell, he said that Charlie Creswell was staying at Leeds because he was part of the match preparation squad, which I'm assuming is the 11 that they set up to play against in the game, days before the game, in the way the opposition play, right? But every time there's been an opportunity, and I don't think Charlie Creswell should start ahead of anybody. I'm not saying that, I'm saying he's an option. You should have 2 right-sided right centre-backs, and we have that. Joe Rodon, Charlie Creswell. 2 left-sided centre-backs, Pascal Struijk and Liam Cooper. That's your balance, right? When Rodon's not been available, he's put Pascal Struijk out to the right-hand side of defence, where he's not comfortable and has had his worst games for us to accommodate Liam Cooper coming in as a left centre-back. He's played Luke Ayling right centre-back at one point this year as well, at the start of the season. He's played Luke Ayling there ahead of him. And now when he has no centre-backs fit, rather than even put Charlie Creswell in the squad as an option, he plays the central midfielder in defence instead. So you can't say to me that you like the player, that you rate the player, and that you want him to stay, that when every single opportunity you've had to give him any kind of minutes at all, you've taken the opposite and decided not to play him and not include him in the squad at all. The first change today was the 78th minute, and it was a 31-year-old that came on the park. And you're 2-0 up at that stage against a team you're beating comfortably. Mateo Joseph comes on the 90th minute. What's the point?
I didn't even know
what's the point? So if you're these younger players, and Leeds have talked an awful lot over the last couple of years about not having people getting in the way of pathways of young players coming through. You have a manager right now who just doesn't, outside of Archie Gray, will not play any of these youngsters. Charlie Cresswell had a very good season at Millwall last year. Had a second half of the season, he was phenomenal for Millwall. One of the main reasons they climbed up the table and nearly made the playoffs. There's an argument from in the Millwall side of things as well that had he not broken his eye socket with 3 games to go in the season, they would have got the playoffs. He then represents England in the summer and has won the Euros with the under-21 side for England. Don't tell me that player is not a decent centre back and can't get in the team against a League One side like Peterborough. So
what do you what do you put it down to, Joe? Do you just think you don't fancy him?
I don't think Daniel Farke trusts a lot of his bench.
Yeah,
he can say that he does, but his actions say the opposite. And I don't care what people say. I judge you by your actions. And his actions say he can say what about Paveda being one of the most creative players we have, but yet will never start the kid and doesn't play him in a team. To JT's point, and I do agree with half of what JT said around playing too many youngsters. He's 100% correct. There's a balance there you've got to be careful of. Charlie Cresswell has experience in this division. He's played in it for a full season. He's 21 years of age. He's played against some of the best young European players in the Euros this summer. He's played with some of the best English young players at a much higher level in the Euros this year as well. There is no argument that he can't be in that team. And again, if he's not starting, why not have him on the bench in case something happens to Ethan Ampatwo or in case something happens to Joe Rodon? You're 2-0 up, take one of them off. You know, why are we again waiting until 78 minutes to rest players when we can bring younger players on to get them minutes? You don't want to see loads of kids playing, but what you do want to see is when there's an opportunity, bring one of them in and surround them by the senior players to support them, but to give them the best opportunity to be a success at your club. But if every time you have that opportunity, you choose to put a 30-year-old in there instead, then you're saying you don't trust them. You're saying your actions say, I don't trust them. You know, look at the substitutions that he makes every week. Same players, every game, come on the pitch. You know, and then finally, just the comment about Chris Klassen, and again, somebody will tell me in the chat they've watched every under-21 game in the history of Leeds United and tell me Chris Klassen's a great goalkeeper. Chris Klassen makes an awful lot of mistakes. He had one shot to save today and he dropped it, and only for Ethan Ampatwo was there was a problem. It was right in front of him. I just pick it up and it hit his chest and bounced away from him. So no, sorry, not for me.
No, I agree. I do agree with you. I just want to quickly share this image as well that you mentioned. Andrea thankfully found it for me. Big shout out to Alex at American in Leeds, by the way. He just shows that image there, and you can see what you're talking about him occupying them defenders, which we haven't seen up to this point. But no, you make great points. And look, I see a lot of the chat. A lot of people don't like Farke, right? And they don't like this stance that he's taking. I see it from the chat. Of course, that's not an accurate representation of the whole fan base, but there are some that don't fancy him because of decisions like this, because of sending Spence back. But ultimately, folks, the manager is there to make the decisions, what he feels best for the squad. We don't have to agree with it, but he will live and die by the decisions.
I'm not bringing Spence in.
No, I know you're not. I know you're not. I know. No. Yeah. No, I know you're not. I'm just making a blanket statement, not about you, Joe. But I do believe that he will live and die by these decisions. I've said before, even with the Spence one, if Gray plays and gets injured and then we're relying on Ayling, that is on Farke. And we can all say that is your fault. Buying Pirro, if it doesn't work out, that is also your fault and the recruitment team's fault. But listen, not saying anyone isn't backing Farke, but we've just won 2 games on the spin. You know, we've won. Yeah. It was when was the last time we did a professional job like that in the FA Cup? Even last season, it took a draw against Cardiff and a replay. Yeah. Bielsa, we were never good in them. I can't remember the last time we did well in the cup. Like even good. Yeah. So
no, I mean, I think it's key. I'm happy they did because. Listen, I know a lot of people, including yourself, were like, listen, let's just get this cup run. You know, who cares? We'll probably lose and focus on the league. But for me, listen, wins breed wins. Confidence breeds confidence. And we saw it last year. We just beaten Liverpool. We just came back, beat Bournemouth 4-3. We had a lot of momentum under our belt. We went and played Wolves in the cup. He puts a subpar team out. We go and throw that game away. I think Traore scored in like the 80th minute or whatever and lose. And then what happens? We go over a few days later and lose to Spurs. Losses breed losses. And I think even though it's the cup, even though, we all want to focus on the league, if you go and lose to a side like Peterborough or you don't do the job, then listen, it's only going to breed bad things for this season. Then all of a sudden people are scratching their head. You couldn't beat Peterborough. You couldn't beat Stoke. You couldn't beat Rotherham, and then everything just starts piling up again. You got a couple of wins under the belt, and I think that's going to be huge going into this next part. If we'd have thrown it away, and you can only beat who's in front of you. Like you're saying, listen, Peterborough, not a great side, but you can only beat who's in front of you. Yeah. Same with Birmingham. So, as I said, I'm happy with it. I like a few of the things with the players. I do agree with what you said, though. There were some players Jaden Anthony as well, especially, who had their crack today, didn't really impress me too much. And we've all been asking for squad rotation. Does he trust his squad? Well, today he did trust some of those players. And like you said, some of them did not only let him down, but let us down and themselves down. But for me, what do you guys actually make?
I was going to ask you, JT, while you're on top of that. Same for everybody else. We've seen Jaden Anthony off the bench early on in the season look really good. Early in the season, look really good. Since then, though, or as I'd say, since the weather has changed, not so much. Would you keep him around the squad on the basis? I mean, look at the Stoke game he started today. Have you seen enough from the kid to say, yeah, he should be starting games or he should be pushing to start games? Or is it a loan you be finishing up early and bringing somebody else in?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Like I said, it all depends on the Gnonto situation. If we keep him, if we go, as things are going, it looks like we might keep him. So in that case, I'm not too sure Jaden Anthony has too much of a space. For me, when Pervader's even played out wide, I don't think that Jaden Anthony has offered much more than Pervader even has. And like you said, he came off the bench against Watford. It was a clinical finish. It got all of us very excited. And then there was a patch where I think he even started a couple of games in there, and he never really impressed me. He has the technical ability, but his decision-making at times just really lets himself down. He's been playing on the left flank. He's very right-footed. And it seems like whenever he's meant to have a shot, he decides to cut it back and cross it. And whenever there's a good opportunity to cross it, he tries to cut inside and rip one from about 25 yards. He's one of those players that has all the skills, but it's kind of like Jack Harrison in his first season at Leeds. You know he's got the ability to take players on, but his decision-making, it's like he's just running like a headless chicken at times when he gets that ball out wide, and he doesn't actually know what he's going to do. But in terms of ability, of course, we all know there's a player there, but it's not working for him. And can you make a case for him to start over Dan James? No. Can you make a case for him to start over Somerville? No. If someone's going to come in for them, it's going to be Gnonto. If he does consist with putting Perot in the 10 and Bamford up front, then the next option on the wing is going to be Jorginho Rutter, who I think actually in his cameos there has actually played very well. So listen, he's going to have to do a lot to earn his place back for me.
I was going to say that, and I guess it's the same for anyone. Does anyone who came in today, so that's Shackleton, Gnonto, Anthony, Gruev, does any of them? Gruev was good, but does any of them deserve a start for you, or Ollie?
Sorry, just real quick, just on the Gruev thing, past that. Sorry, Andre made a really good point. There's games we don't need a double pivot because we've got so much attacking play. We don't need double pivot. In those games, Gruev's perfect. Play him as the holding one, and then play somebody else in midfield, and let him just do that job. That's it. Sorry, Ollie.
I think Gruev was probably one that you could look at to come in, but I don't think any of them get into the starting 11. No. Personally, I think a couple of them made good accounts of themselves, like Gruev, but just touching on Jaden Anthony, not good enough. Not good enough for me. I don't think. I honestly, I think it's as simple as that. I think he's had one good game, and I just think his decision making's all over the place. JT touched on that. There's a good player there. I don't think there is. I actually don't. I'm not a massive fan of Jaden Anthony. I know that might be, controversial, but I just see him quite as quite a useless player. If I'm being quite honest, I don't know if that's being too harsh on him, but I feel like there's so many other options, and when he gives his, when he has chances like today, he had chances to knock on the door to say, Farker, play me. This is why you should. The decision making, they're just. I don't know what his strongest attribute is. I think with players,
I would say it's close control in chopping right and left. I think he does that really well in the box. I think he does do that really well.
But then does what with it?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, that's the thing. They do a lot of movement, but they're not clinical. Both Gnonto and Anthony. And honestly, Gnonto was more lively. He made a lot of run, tried to run in behind, tried to touch the thing going wide, tried to get the ball, tried to get play 1v1, but he didn't manage to create something to be clinical. And Anthony the same. He didn't make a lot of runs. Tried to get wide, he tried to get inside, but he did the simple things. He was okay for me. He also had some shooting opportunities, but it was, it was like, okay, this is me, but he was normal, pretty normal to me. He didn't seem to have a major talent than the Peterborough players, honestly. And he has that talent, but it's about the mentality too, because he seemed to be okay in doing the simple things, to do a job, a simple job, do my job on the pitch and not be had to get over the line, It was average, it was okay, but it didn't show that he played in the championship a level above the Peterborough players in League One. With the quality and the technique he has, he was fine. Did just the simple things. He can be better than that for sure. Than doing just the simple things and doing the
Christopher Metcalf says, "Did I watch the wrong game? I thought we won." And you're all. I mean, we can all smile if you want, but we're trying to be objective as well. We're trying to be objective because it's Birmingham and Peterborough. Great, we won. Happy with the goal from Bamford, but there were still areas of the game. Go on, mate. Go.
Why watch a program like this if you're not expecting us to be critical of wins and losses? Why watch this? Because if it's a case that that's the attitude that we won the game, this is over in 2 minutes. We won the game. Congratulations, Leeds. We'll move on. End the show. Move on to the next show. We said this and let's not forget, going back not that long ago, we had a spell in December where we didn't win games, and we had said before that you've got to be wary of little things that aren't going well in the games, that they don't become bigger things and cost you further down the line. And we saw that with the 2 defeats that we had. We talked about the low block for months. And again, other people came in on this and said, what are you complaining about? We won the game. But these things catch up with you if you don't identify and you don't talk about them. Every time Leeds win, it's never 100% perfect. So you've got to be balanced and talk about the good things and the bad things. When we lose games, the world is never on fire. There's always good things about it and there's bad things about it. We have to be objective. We've said some really good things about people today. We've waxed the lyrical about Pat Bamford's finish. We've talked about how Gruev was good. We've talked about winning the game and getting back. All positive stuff. But there are some things you got to point out. You're playing in the League One side, and this is a very strong Leeds team with a lot of first teamers in this and a lot of players that were getting their opportunities finally to show they should have an opportunity to be in the Leeds starting 11. And that's what we're talking about. Those players who came in today and didn't take the opportunity to put a marker down. So, yeah, we won the game. But was everybody brilliant? Were we brilliant for 90 minutes? Did we really play the way that team should have against a League One opposition?
Yeah, no, that's
and another thing I wanted to add on this, because is a tendency recurring later on. The key word is balance.
Yeah.
There was a poet, Kipling. If you can live with that triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors the same, he said, and that's the key. Be balanced. When we had that bad run in December, there were a lot of people saying Farke out, that's Farke, and we're criticizing. Some of us saying no, we need to back Farke. We're criticizing him, but he's still the right manager to try to lead this team. There's worse managers out there. And right now, when we win, there's people saying you're too critical. So it's the two sides. When we win, you're too critical. When we lose, no, you're too try to be too objective. 100%. It's not blind support. You can be critical also in wins and also in defeats. For me,
100% you can. Let's finish up on a positive. I want to go around and get people's man of the matches. All right, or just something positive you've seen from the game. Let's finish on a positive note. There's not too much more we can pick the bones out of. It was just a standard FA Cup win, lower league opposition. Could have been better, but we won, right? We won the game. JT, I'll come to you first of all. What's your main takeaway? Your positive point?
My main positive point. I don't want to repeat myself and sound like a broken record, but for me, confidence. First of all, if you're going to ask me man of the match, Patrick Bamford. Key goal, wonder goal. I can't look past him, mate. And the assist, I know you guys said was unlucky. I think the assist was intentional, personally. Listen, the movement to get into the box, because he did a similar thing.
I had to try and get it with his right.
He does that all the time. If you see it, even the game, when he missed the penalty, he had a chance where he occupies space in the middle of the box. He flicks it with the outside of the foot to Somerville. He does these kind of things. But listen, he occupies space.
No one's believing you.
Cristiano Bamford.
Hey,
Cristiano Bamford.
Call me delusional. I don't know, but I thought it was intentional, and the goal was world class. Ethan Ampatwo getting goals, and if my key takeaway, as I said, players need to learn from Ethan Ampatwo, because we need goals coming elsewhere on the pitch. Look at the year we got promoted. Look at the Bielsa side. How many times do you need in a promotion side to nick a 1-0 or a 2-1 and the goal comes from elsewhere? How many times did Alioski pull us out the fire? You know, that beautiful
Yeah,
goal
no, I
against
hear it.
Huddersfield that he scored, the goal to put us 3-0 up against Fulham. You need goals coming from elsewhere on the pitch. So Ethan Ampatwo getting, and the header as well from the corner. Beautiful. So
Yeah,
for me,
really
my main
good.
takeaway, confidence breeds confidence.
Love that, love that. Ollie, follow that, mate.
I was gonna say there's not much more I can say on top of that. I think a win's a win, and it gets us into good stead for Cardiff. My man of the match today, Ethan Ampatwo. I think before he got the goals, I think we spoke last night when we were predicting the 11. He will go with Ampatwo because he trusts him, because there's a future captain there. I obviously had the armband today until Aylan came on, and I think he was just. He was brilliant, and I think the 2 goals just tops off a top class performance from him. But yeah, it was a good win. But let's just keep balanced, and let's go to that big game against Cardiff.
Yeah, it's a big game. Listen, we might go and beat them for the month, and that I'm really my thing is, if we can beat Cardiff, we've got 2 home games. I fancy us to win them 2. So Cardiff's going to be tough, not under any illusions. But if we get 9 points, this division in terms of where we're positionally could have a different look come the 1st of Feb. So fingers crossed. I'm not going to make any predictions about top 2 in 1st of Feb and all that, but let's assess it on 1st of Feb. Jer, what are your positives from the game?
Hearing you say Cardiff, because it's the most Yorkshire you've ever sounded when you say Cardiff. So there's that. I thought Archie and Ilya Groove were excellent in the middle bracket. Again, just go back to the fact that very little came through the middle. Everything went around the sides, means they did their jobs really, really well. I agree. Ampatwo, 2 goals and an assist were excellent. I'm very close to giving it to Pat Bamford, because JT's explanation as to why he should get it is phenomenal. And you could very easily talk me into voting on the back of that. It was a very good assessment. I'm going to give it to Gruev because I think he deserves it. I think he needs a bit. Again, JT talked about confidence. I think Gruev in the last 2 games has looked excellent. And I think he really, really does a very good. It's great going forward, but he does a really good job making sure that 0 stays there at the back as well. And I'm all for that.
Yeah. Fair play. And Andrea?
Yeah, I think the man of the match for me too was a midfielder today. A midfielder playing in defense, Ampatwo.
More square pegs.
Ampatwo was the man of the match, of course. He had 2 goals and also the long ball. I don't know if he counts as an assist because Bamford controlled it and then shoot. So yeah, let's say he had an assist too. But yeah,
down as an assist.
Yeah, because in Italy it's different, Also, when we play fantasy football, there's also this debate about if that counts as an assist or not. So that's why. But yeah, the positives are, of course, for me, Gray today. Ampatwo scoring 2 goals. It's never happened before, probably, and he scored a brace. He's not a goal scorer, and I think also the fact that Farket trusted some of the players off the bench. But it didn't work out for them. So it's a positive in terms of him trying to give them a chance, but a bad thing that they didn't perform. And the main positive too is Bamford scoring on back-to-back goals, so he can build his confidence, and he deserves to start on our next European journey. The old hierarchy promised us that we were going to get to Europe. Rads promised us we were going to get to Europe, and we got to play abroad in Wales in the championship. So thank you for that, Rads. I think he deserves to start Bamford in the next game with Rotary in the team.
Yeah, I was in terms of positives. I was going to say Daniel Farke because listen, he shuffled up the pack. He's never going to rest Ampatwo. I think now that we've got a game a week, I think we need to probably just forget about it because he'll feel that 7 days is enough for him to recuperate. And like it's been showed, it's showed today. We all probably say you need to rest Ampatwo. And he gets 2 goals and an assist. I thought Gray was great in the midfield for a right back. It's not bad going. I'm joking, of course. But I'm going to give it to Luke Ayling just because I thought for his little cameo.
Ran down the line, lost possession, ran back down the line.
Stop it. No, listen, that might be the last time we see Luke Ayling. So for me, Luke Ayling gets the man of the match. No, but it could be the last time we see him. It could be the last time.
Jared, apologist, Joe.
Yes, I am. I can't lie. Just to get my final dig in at Evie as well, who was requesting that.
He was not here to represent herself.
No, but was requesting for Archie Gray to come on because he takes shots. I'd rather he not with them 2 piss poor shots he took.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them was basically a penalty. The goalkeeper passed him the ball and he hit it straight at him. I was really disappointed, but I said I'm only joking. It's all fun. Hopefully that guy that said we were sat with slapped asses is now happy. Leeds are through to the 4th round. Tomorrow night, Man United play Wigan, and I think the draw's after. So we'll find out. Squareball have just tweeted out to say, you are statistically more likely to get struck by lightning in the United States than you are to get 14 consecutive away cup ties. So we will see tomorrow.
Nailed on.
We will see tomorrow if we are drawn away from home. If we are, then it ain't looking good, is it? But yeah.
Because they're asking about it in the chat, and I'm curious too. I didn't want to ask, but what shirt is JT wearing? What team is it?
Hello, it's my camera has frozen, but
okay.
my mic is still working. Sorry, I'll fix that in a second. That's my club, mate. That's FC Cricklewood. The boys.
Nice.
We had a massive cup game today in the morning, so played 90 minutes there. Got straight
Did
back.
you score?
Leeds. Nah, mate, hit the crossbar, unfortunately. Hit the crossbar.
Where do you play, bro?
Did a Bamford special. I was playing up front.
Nice. Go on,
I'm a diminutive Patrick Bamford. No, but to be fair, I had to go. We didn't have enough players. Our left back went down injured. We didn't have another left back, so I had to fill in there for the last 30.
Okay, we
may have done
have found
a Gray and let my guy run into the back post. We'll forget about it.
we have found our next number 9 / left back.
Exactly.
Anyway, if that Leeds content creator charity game thing, you know.
Yeah, true. It sounds like a good one. Listen, FC Cricklewood have always been my second favourite team anyway.
Hey, I love it.
All Cricklewood are we. Listen, make sure you check out JT's channel, JT Live, Ollie Ward at Ollie Ward, and of course Joe at Leeds United The View. They'll have loads of content over the next 24 to 48 hours, of course. Make sure you check out Andrea on Twitter. This has been the Just Joe Football Show, live match reaction. Leeds United are in. Let's remove him just in case something happens there. Yeah, we'll leave it there. Enjoy the rest of your day. Leeds are through to the next round, man. It's good times. See you in a bit, folks. Come on.